Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how you can import Modpacks into Crafty. I'm also going to show you how you can update the Modpacks as well. For my examples here, I'm going to be using one Fabric Modpack and one NeoForge Modpack. Now for the NeoForge Modpack, the steps also can work for Forge mod loaders as well. But I'm going to be using NeoForge in this example, as the two mod loaders are very similar in terms of how you set them up. First, we'll start with the Fabric Cobblemon one, just because it's a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more easier, and then we'll do the NeoForge one afterwards. I'll have timestamps in the video so you can skip towards any sections that you need. But apart from that, let's get into it. So starting off with Cobblemon, it's just an example that I'm using. The steps for this will be very similar for other Fabric mod packs, and Fabric is a little bit more streamlined in terms of how to set them up. So in our Cobblemon mod pack here, we can see we have a start.sh, start.bat, server icon, Fabric server jar, and then a mods folder. That's all we really need for the Fabric one, so it's pretty easy. But what we'll do is that essentially we're going to start by running the server on a local machine and then importing it into Crafty. So we'll start by opening a terminal here. I'm just going to run the start.sh. I'm on Linux. Mac users will also be the same. However, if you're on Windows, you'll need to use the start.bat. But the steps after that are pretty identical. So when first running the server, you might come across this warning here saying fail to load EULA. You need to agree to it in order to run the server. So that's fine. We'll just quickly do that now. You can see it's generated a few files here, which you can open the EULA.txt. I'm going to set this from false to true. That will then allow us to run the server. Fantastic. Now the server's running, we can see that it says done here in the console. It also says done here. So now that's up and running, we can just hit stop to stop the server, and then it will then exit. So these files are now ready to be imported into Crafty. What you'll just want to double check is the server properties. Now we'll want to edit any of this first before importing it. So we've got the message of the day here, so I'm just going to change this into Crafty Cobblemon Fabric 1.6. Server port, I'm just going to leave it on the default 25565. If you have multiple servers running on the machine at once, then of course you need to change the server port to something a little bit different. But all of this I'm just going to leave for default for now. Once we're happy with that, we can highlight all of this and we can compress it into a zip file. You can see it's about 1,000 items, so there's quite a few. Fantastic, so that's done there. That now says archive zip. I'm just going to rename this Cobblemon 1.6. Now I'm also just going to move this into the downloads folder here. Within Crafty, we want to create a new server, and then here we want to use this section where it says upload zip file for server import. First we'll name it, so I'm just going to name this one Cobblemon Crafty, and then for the zip file to upload we'll select our Cobblemon 1.6.zip that we just created, and then upload it. Cool. Once done, you'll have a few more fields appear. First we need to select the archive root directory. Now if everything's done the same way I did it, you should just select this main files here. You can see all of our files are in here, so it's good that it's reading them all. Just save that. And then for the server executable file, we'll just want to make sure that we use the Fabric server MC 1.21 loader, the main Java file that we first started with. Easiest way is just to highlight and copy that, paste that in there. Now it says here minimum memory and maximum memory in the server port. Now because the server port, we left it as 25565, so I'm just going to leave that as that. Minimum and maximum memory. Now this is something we're going to edit afterwards, so for now I'm just going to leave it as it is, and then we'll just import the server. As you can see down here, it is currently importing, and rather quickly it's finished. So here we have now the config area. Now this is the important part. You can see we have a server execution command and a server executable. That's one that we set earlier. But now we need to focus on the server execution command. Now again, it asks us if we wanted 1 and then 2 gigs, and it's set the variables for them here, but we're going to be overwriting this anyway. So if we head back to our Cobblemon 1.6 server files folder, we'll see we have this start.sh, start.bat. Now we want to open up the start.sh. We can see here that there's a few more variables that it likes to set. So what we're going to do is actually overwrite that and paste in our new variables there. As long as everything's put in correctly, we should see Java at the start, and then some of the commands, and then the actual Java file itself, followed by no GUI. Fantastic. Now I'm just going to leave a lot of these settings for default for now. This is just a tutorial, but of course if you're a server admin then you can change any of these. And we'll just hit save. Now it may not look like it's done anything, but as long as we refresh the page you can see that it's still updated to our new command. Check the files section. We can see that our files are in fact there. Now in the terminal page we can hit start. Might ask us to agree to the EULA again, that's fine. Now we're just starting the server. This may take a few minutes depending on your server hardware. If you're running this on something like a Raspberry Pi, it can take a few minutes sometimes. The main thing we're looking for is where it says done. It will say generating world and then it will say done, or like generating spawn and then done. So preparing level type world, that's good. Preparing spawn area, fantastic. Done, awesome. Now that this says done, the server is now ready to be played on, so I'll just demonstrate that now. So just loading in here. So if we go to multiplayer, I've already added my Crafty server into the multiplayer list. Sometimes it takes a little while to ping. That's just a Minecraft issue as far as I'm concerned. And over here we've got Crafty Cobblemon Fabric 1.6. That's the version of the Modpack that we're running at the moment. And if we launch into the world, here we are. Hello. So if we then hit M to check out our starters, I'm just going to set a starter quick. So I've chosen Charmander. Now this is just to show a little bit of progression before we update the mod pack, just to show you that when updating the mod pack we will keep the server data. So now we've done that, we can disconnect. And we have successfully imported a Crafty server. Now I'm going to move on to the next part of this section, which is updating the Fabric mod pack. So when updating the Fabric Modpack, there's a couple of ways that we can do it. Now, the way I personally do it However, some other people may do it a different way. That's fine. I like to run a backup on the server first. Fantastic, that's completed. If we hit the little edit or the pencil icon, we can see that our backup is here. What we can do is go ahead and download that. I'm going to call this backup Cobblemon 1.6. Now it's essentially this backup folder that we're going to be updating to the new version. So if we go ahead and extract that here, it should give us the folder here, backup Cobblemon 1.6. Now this is the server that was just, these are the files, sorry, that were just on our Crafty server. Now we also have this 1.6.1 update here. Now for Fabric mods, it's quite easy. All we need is this new Fabric server launcher and this new mods folder. So what we'll do is we'll go into here, we're going to delete this mods folder and we're going to delete this Fabric server. And we are also just going to delete the start.sh and the start.bat. Now we're going to go into our new server files and we are literally just going to copy and paste this across. Just going to overwrite the server icon, is what it is. Cool. So now we have a new version of it going. I'm just going to update the server properties to say 1.6.1. Now what we're going to do is compress this into a new zip archive. Fantastic. Just going to rename this Cobblemon 1.6.1 Modpack update. This can be whatever you want. This is just what I'm doing. Now we're ready to import it into Crafty. Now I have access to my server's backup folder essentially. It's under Crafty backups and then this UUID here. So I'm going to upload my backup that way. If you have access, then access to the server backups files directly, then of course you can do the same thing. It just means that we don't need to delete this new server instance and then create a new server. But essentially, if you don't have access to the backup folder, what you can do is just delete this old instance now and create a new server instance and then essentially copy what we did before, but with these new server files. Mainly taking note of the launch command and the server executable. So because I have access to my backups, I'm going to be doing it that way. So I'm just going to upload my backup really quick. So I have just uploaded my backup. So I'm just going to quickly refresh this. And as you can see here, we now have a Cobblemon 1.6.1 Modpack update.zip. And then what we can do is go ahead and restore this. And what this essentially does is delete all the files that are currently in the server folder, and it will restore them with these new files from the zip archive. Perfect. So I don't think that took any time at all. It looks to be done. Files are here. Now we can just double check and see that it is the correct version because we now have the 0.16.10 launcher instead of the 0.16.9. And now because of that, we will need to update these to correspond with that. So again, we can just copy and paste from the start.sh. So I'm just going to copy and paste that into there. Yeah, that looks correct. And again, just in case I've changed any of the starting arguments, I'm just going to copy and paste all this as well into the server execution command. Now again, we're not going to update any of the server ports or anything. We don't need to do any of that. Once we've hit save, we should be able to go back to the terminal. And we hit start, and then we might see a new little message pop up. We have to take that it's the first time that it's run. Just ignore that for now. Now while that's starting up, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to update my Modpack locally as well. Fantastic. Prism Launcher makes it nice and easy. Now in the time that we've done that, it's still starting up. Almost done. We know when it's almost done when it says preparing level world. Fantastic. Now it says it's done. We'll go back here and launch. Now, if you've done everything correctly, you should be able to get into the menu, head to multiplayer, wait for it to ping the server. Again, can take a little while sometimes. There it is. And you can see here Crafty Cobblemon Fabric 1.6.1. Great, so our updates have worked. So now we are on the latest version. Not only that, we have our save data. As you can see, we still have my starter Pokemon Charmander there. I'm ready to explore this Pokemon world. Now, NeoForge and Forge are slightly different, so we'll get onto them next. So we're going to be taking a similar approach with NeoForge, however it does differ slightly. So we're still going to be using the upload zip for server import. Now we have here FTB Ocean Block 1.5. Now for the Feed the Beast mod packs, they do have their own little server install script that they go through. It can only be downloaded from the Feed the Beast website as well. It's not something that's on CurseForge. So I'm just going to run the script quick. Just going to make sure it's installing into this folder, which it does seem to be. We'll continue. Don't want to download Java. Now it's going to error out here about 84% or 86%. I actually managed to do it this time. Fantastic. Sometimes this download doesn't always go through properly. So yes, here we do want to run the NeoForge installer. FTB will automatically set up the correct version of NeoForge and everything for this mod pack. Fantastic. So that seems to have done that successfully. We can get rid of this install script. Now, similar to the Cobblemon Fabric install, we are going to be just running this locally first. Cool, it can be executed. So I'm just going to run.sh. Just going to verify that the server is up, working, does actually run. Now we need to answer true here for the EULA. Awesome, so it does seem to be loaded up now. Still starting up. Oh, there we go. Dedicated server, so 37 seconds delayed. As you can see, Forge is, or NeoForge, sorry, is quite a different beast to Fabric. So now this does seem to be working, we can run the stop. Perfect. Now we have the files here ready to be uploaded into Crafty again. Do want to double check the server properties. So I'm going to just change this into FTB Ocean Block 2 and then set the version to 1.5, which is what it is currently. Now we're going to compress this into a zip, ready for server upload. Just while that's doing that, I'm just going to set a server name. As you can see, there's over 3,000 files in this mod pack. It's quite a big one. And just so we don't get confused, I'm just going to rename this into FTB Ocean Block 2 1.5.0 zip. I'm just going to put this in the downloads folder. I should be able to browse, and it should be here ready for import. So I'm going to open that, click upload. It'll take a little bit longer because it's quite a big pack. Classic. Again, we'll get some extra fields here. So once I select the root directory, we'll just select this as files. Now server executable jar, server executable file. Now this is where there is a slight difference between NeoForge / Forge and Fabric. NeoForge and Forge like to put use a libraries folder. They like to put their executable within a net, and then in my case it will be NeoForged. But if you're on Forge, it could be Minecraft Forge instead. And then within here, there should be a NeoForge folder, and then the version of NeoForge that we're working on. So Forge, it would be the same, it would be like net Minecraft Forge, and then Forge, and then the version number. And then in here we have the server jar. So this is what we want to pay attention to. So we'll want to make sure we make a note of the directory, which in this case would be libraries net NeoForged 21.1.128, and then just going to copy and paste the name of this server jar. Now, similar story with Fabric. I'm not going to worry about the minimum and maximum memory size, because all that does is update the execution command. Server port 25565, it's fine, it's default for now. I'm going to import server. Now, Ocean Block is a little bit bigger, so it might take a few more seconds to import, but it did seem to do that fairly quick. Files, we just want to make sure everything is there. Does seem to be. Now we need to configure the server execution command. Now, similar to Cobblemon, this Ocean Block one has a start script that they have provided. So I'm going to open this, and we're just going to copy this here and paste it into our server execution command. Again, not going to touch any of the other fields for now. I'm just going to hit save. Once saved, we should be able to go to the terminal. We should be able to start the server. Yes, we agree to the EULA. Okay, that's fine. Now again, we might need to wait a little while the server starts. Where we've run it locally on our machine, it should hopefully not take as long to start up. Forge and NeoForge mod packs are they can be quite large, especially if you're playing something like all the mods. It can take a little while for the server to start up. So if you're starting the server and it's just pumping out information into the log and it won't let you connect, then it's likely that it's just taking its wee while starting up. Looks like we are there. Now, for FTB Ocean Block in particular, this is something I've noticed, and it doesn't affect the server at all, but it does seem to spam the console a lot, and it says something about error sending packet, client bound Minecraft, disconnect. I'm not entirely sure what is going on with that. However, it doesn't affect the server or its performance, but it does seem to spam the console logs. So for now, I'm just going to ignore it and launch, because it should be done. Head to multiplayer here. Wait for the server ping. See that nice message of the day. Cool. Here we go. FTB Ocean Block 2 1.5.0 Crafty server is up and it is running. Should be able to join it. Fantastic. We are here. This is just the spawn island. What I am going to do is just run down and set up a little ocean block scenario. Just do a familiar life pod. Wait for it to construct the base. Of course, depending on server hardware, it can take a second or two. Here we go. Oh wow, a raft right here, that's crazy. Cool. So we are here, we're ready to go. Nice access point, lovely, lovely. Oh wow. I'm just gonna break this. Just gonna collect some resources. Got flux axe. So, what happens if a mod pack update comes out for the mod pack that you're playing on? So we'll start with NeoForge now. So we're going to take a similar approach as we did with Fabric. We'll first stop the server. Again, the console spam is quite something. There we go. Does say shutdown complete. Fantastic. Now we do want to run a backup for the server as well. So I'm going to be taking a similar approach to how I did the Cobble 1 Fabric update, where I'm going to be basically restoring a backup rather than deleting the server and then creating a new server and then using a new server import. Either way is fine, but rather than creating new server instances over and over, I find it easier just to restore it from a backup and change a few of the config lines, but we need to do that regardless. So it does still say running. Okay, it does say offline now. Okay, that's fine. So we're just going to run a backup quick. Ocean blocks are a little bit bigger than the Cobble ones, so it may take a little bit longer. Perfect, almost a gig in size already. That's crazy. So we'll just download this backup. We'll do FTB Ocean Block to backup. So it should be downloaded, and then what we'll do is, again, similar to the Fabric instance, we'll just extract that here, open it up, and you can see, yeah, we've got all our server files here. That's fine. So what we need to do is find the new version of Ocean Block, and again we'll need to run the new installer. So let's run server install here. So far, do you want to continue? Yes, we do. No, we don't want to download Java. Let it run its install scripts. Perfect. Would you like to run the NeoForge installer? Yes, we do, because NeoForge was updated with this version. So we will need to modify a few of the fields within Crafty to get it running. Perfect. So, fortunately, we don't need to run the server this time. All we need to do is just essentially copy across the folders. We might need to copy across the user JVM args as well. Just depends if whether they've changed. We'll do it anyway. So we can get rid of the install script now. That's fine. And I am essentially just gonna select these folders, and then in the new one, in the backup, what we are going to do, we need to replace the folders, so we need to delete the old ones as well. So what if I open this in a new window quick, I'm just going to compare what folders we need to delete and what ones we can keep. So here we're going to be changing config, default configs, FTB team bases, Cube.js, libraries, mods, resource packs, and shader packs. So I guess the shader packs and resources packs, they're not essential. The main ones we need to worry about are probably the Cube.js, the mods, and the libraries folder. Those are, and probably the config ones as well, just to be sure. So we'll do config, default configs. I'll just do FTB team bases, Cube.js, libraries, and mods. Just going to double check. Yep, that does seem correct. So if we delete those, we then want to move across the new versions without the resource packs and shader packs, sorry. Perfect. So now that's moved across, we also just need to double check the run command here, because if we notice NeoForge has changed. It's changed from 21.1.128 to 21.1.139. So we will need to update that as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste this across here. Even though it's not used at all, it's just a little bit occasion. The main changes we're going to be making are within the Crafty. So again, within our backup, I'm just going to update this to 1.6.1 just to reflect the changes and say that we have updated the Modpack. Going to be keeping everything else as the same. Now, of course, we will need to compress this into a new archive.zip. Marks, that does seem to be the same. While that's doing that as well, I will update our Modpack to be 1.6.1 on here. Cool, so that's now done. So we now rename this to FTB Ocean Block 2 1.6.1 update without the W on the end. Perfect. Now, like Cobble 1, I'm just going to put this in the downloads folder just so I can see it a bit better. Now I'm going to be uploading this as a backup because I have access to the backups folder for this server. If you're not sure about finding the storage location for the backups and restoring it that way, it is perfectly fine from this point to delete the server, which you can do through the config page, and then create a new server and import the zip file for server import, and basically run through this section again, just with the new updated arguments. There we go. So now if we go into this backup here, we can see that we've got the new backup, the FTB Ocean Block 1.6.1 update. Now we can actually restore this, and what that will do is it will delete all the server files and it will restore them with our new server files. But fortunately, because it's a backup, it should retain all the data that we had. So that did that fairly quick. Files, yeah, cool, all the files are there. Config, now this is where we need to make a couple of changes, mainly here and here. So the libraries, so we need to point this to the new version of Forge. Now the new version of Forge is, if I go to our backup, again we find the libraries, net, NeoForged, and then NeoForge 21.1.139, and then 21.1.139 server. That's fine. So like before, we're just going to copy this directly here, I'm going to overwrite that, and then if we just rename this, we can copy the name of this and put it into here. So that should now be pointing towards 21.1.139. Fantastic. Now we also need to update this part of the execution command as well. So I'm just going to copy this, update it here. You can, if you think it's easier to copy and date the entire command, then you can do so through the run.sh. You can just copy this entire line, just paste it into here. So now we've done that, I'm going to again keep everything else as default, hit save. It may not look like it's done anything, but it has. We should be able to start this new updated server. It will again come up with this message. Just going to click OK. Now we play the waiting game again for the server to start. Now, like before, you may get the same error disconnect message. It just seems to be something that I noticed with the ocean block. Again, it doesn't affect gameplay at all. It just spams the console logs. Doesn't seem to add any lag or anything to the server. So we know it's working when we start seeing that error message start being spammed, which I think is about here. Here we go, about here, about now. That looks about right. So that should be everything started up. So if we now launch Ocean Block 2 again, now that we've updated, we can see we're on launcher version 21.1.139 now. Perfect. So now if we head to the multiplayer again, got a Crafty server. We're hoping to see the message of the day read 1.6.1. Perfect. 1.6.1. Now if we join, we should see that we haven't completely reset the server. I should still be on my little island. I should still have my axe. Perfect. You can see it's retained my player data, it's retained the world. We haven't touched any of that. All we've done is we've gone through and we've updated the actual mods themselves. Perfect. So if you guys have any more issues regarding this, you can always hop on the Crafty Discord. If you're having an issue with Modpacks or anything kind of related to the Java side of Minecraft and that, it's best to just create a community support ticket rather than a Crafty support ticket. So Crafty support is basically reserved for actual Crafty issues that people are having. They don't relate to the Java like Modpack issues or anything like that. Someone from the community should be able to help and guide you in the right direction. But hopefully through this tutorial you shouldn't have any issues updating your Modpacks or importing Modpacks into Crafty. It is fairly straightforward as long as you know how to do it. But essentially you need to set up the Modpack server on your computer first and then upload it onto Crafty, rather than trying to do it through Crafty itself, as it's just not something that Crafty is capable of at the moment. So yeah guys, no worries. If this has helped you out, leave a like. Any quick questions, leave a comment. I should hopefully get back to you. But apart from that, thanks for watching.